No doubt, Nigeria, Africa's top oil exporter, has been grappling with a multitude of challenges, from reduced crude oil production and export to oil theft and pipeline attacks, stalled economic reforms and recovery, and the threat of oil price volatility, among others. What is the impact of the incessant destruction of oil pipelines on oil and gas infrastructure and the nation's economy as well? Welcome to the portfolio discussing oil and gas infrastructure. I'm Comfort Amodu. First, the news headlines. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, has briefed the National Assembly on the draft 2022 to 2024 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper at a meeting involving the ministry, parastatals under it, and the leadership of the National Assembly. Zainab Ahmed explained that the Nigerian economy sustained a rapid growth in the first quarter of 2021, with a 0.51% growth driven by the non-oil sector, which increased by 0.79%. Telecommunication and agricultural sector as major contributors.
The sectoral growth in the non-oil sector was primarily driven by telecoms and agriculture sectors, as well as other sectors of the Nigerian economy. Significant concerns still exist in the performance of trade, as well as transport sector, which are still in a very strong negative growth. These subsectors are yet to rebound from the pre-pandemic levels.
It's part of the preparations for the submission or presentation of the 2022 appropriation bill by Mr. President sometime in September, by the grace of God. We'll all recall how this 9th National Assembly committed itself ab initio to ensuring the passage of the appropriations before the end of December of every year to enable the implementation of the Appropriations Act to start by January of every year.
Meanwhile, the Economic Sustainability Committee measuring implementation of the Economic Sustainability Plan said the federal government's COVID-19 stimulus package has been helpful, stating that the Nigerian economy did not degenerate as feared, and at least more than 2 million jobs have been both created and saved with the implementation of the plan. And the federal government says it spends a whopping 60 billion naira annually to repair vandalized oil pipelines across the country. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed stated this at a special town hall meeting on protecting oil and gas infrastructure in Nigeria.
With an average of 200,000 barrels per day lost to the wanton damage to pipelines and a huge amount of about 60 billion naira yearly to repair and maintain the vandalized points, one can only imagine the impact on the economy.
That you have two sets of vandals. There are people who are genuinely aggrieved, and there seem to be activism. So they are very different from those who attack this pipeline just for the sake of doing it or for the purpose of stealing.
The current cleanup, even in the international arena, is perhaps the biggest undertaking currently in the world of remediating a contaminated land by hydrocarbon, hence the name Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project.
The region has witnessed alarming youth restiveness in the recent past as a result of agitations for government and multinational corporations drilling oil and exploring gas in the region to pay more attention to the development of the area.
According to statistics between January 2019 and September 2020, 1,161 pipeline points across the country were vandalized and an average of 200,000 barrels per day lost to the wanton damage to pipelines. 60 billion naira expended yearly to repair and maintain vandalized points. And with oil providing 80% of Nigerians' budgetary revenue and 95% of foreign exchange earnings, much needs to be done to reposition the sector for growth. And joining me to discuss the oil and gas infrastructure is the Chairman House Committee on Petroleum Upstream, Honorable Musa Sarki Adar. You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Let's start by knowing the current state of the oil and gas infrastructure.
A lot of money have been invested toward the formation of oil and gas infrastructure in this country. It is only unfortunate that miscreants within the society who have decided to take up criminality as their profession and business, they are always scuttling the effort put in by government and oil companies by attacking oil facilities, either by bombing it or by going to cut it to scoop oil from it to go and sell in the black markets. Generally, it is the failure of the various intervention agencies that have been put in place by the federal government towards providing some reliefs for the people of the Niger Delta, most especially, as a result of which most of their youth do not have gainful employment, and they have resulted to restiveness through criminality. If all those intervention agencies such as NDDC, the Ministry of the Niger Delta, the Amnesty Program, and of course, the governors of the entire South who have been collecting derivations of 13% from 1999 till date, if they had been putting such monies into proper utilization effectively and also proper accountability, by today there won't be anybody who would engage into that unholy and undesirable act of becoming a hoodlum to go and attack oil facility, whereby many of them lose their lives, and this is unfortunate. And at the same time also they degrade the environment, because at any time they cut off any pipeline, either the crude pipeline or the gas pipeline or the refined product pipeline, the damage they cause to the environment is huge and very unfortunate and regrettable. So we need to put our efforts towards enlightening this youth to understand, to toe the line of peaceful coexistence, to get gainful employment, and also to be tolerant and patient with whatever situation that they find themselves. Nobody is happy.
I know, we will actually get to that at the course of the conversation. But what's government's action towards deriving maximum wealth and growth from the oil and gas sector?
Remember from the UMPA deck, what transmuted to become the NDDC, government realized and appreciate the concern of the people of the Niger Delta. They have been agitating that the resource being tapped from there is causing a lot of environmental pollution and degradation. And also they are clamoring for employment of the youth that are left doing nothing in the area. So the government has come up with NDDC, Ministry of Niger Delta, Amnesty Program, and lately the Nigerian Content Development Board, which is meant to ensure that all the oil companies, whether local or foreign companies, must use local people to be employed in certain professions and trades within the oil and gas sector. And it has done a lot. Not only that, even on contract, certain percentage of contract must be given to indigenous contractors who have capability and ability to handle such contracts, which hitherto were not being done and were not being allowed. You find the Chinese coming to do all the jobs, you find the Philippines, you find the Hungarians, all other nationals coming to do all the jobs that Nigerians are qualified to and can do it effectively. But now with the enactment of that law and the establishment of that board, I believe the situation has improved significantly.
Now, you were talking earlier about some of the challenges that the sector is facing, from vandalism of pipes and oil theft. How can we solve that problem? Because it seems to overwhelm us as a nation.
We just have to try to educate the youth to understand nobody gets what he wants through criminality or through attack of oil facilities or through anything that is not approved and allowed by the extant laws. Many countries have oil within the world, especially in Africa, but what is being experienced in Nigeria is not being experienced in any other part of the world. Why is that happening? We need to educate our youth. Let them go to the school. After coming out of the school, let them follow the process of getting employment or involving themselves in business within the oil sector or within other sectors. There are so many other sectors. There is fishing, there is agriculture, there is ICT. There are so many chances now. The youth of today have many opportunities that they can join. That much easier than before. Of course, we must admit the fact that not everybody will get what he wants at the same time. But resilience, patience, and effort is what will keep us going. And as much as we put in this together, then that's how we can overcome the challenges. Second, not only the youth, the operators within the oil companies, both the NNPC and IOCs and the security agencies that are assigned to go and monitor these installations, they must do their job with the fear of God, sincerely and patriotically. What is happening, many stories come up. There are there's compromises from every other person. Then we must come together as members and as citizens of this nation to say, look, enough is enough. Let us not do those things that will scuttle the development efforts that the government is putting in place. Let us move forward. Let us, all of us, agree that this nation belongs to all of us. Once it is, when the nation develops, then everybody will equally get what he wants and what he deserves. But if everybody is sabotaging, then we can't get anywhere. And in the last 20 years, when this sabotage started till today, it is getting worse. And nobody is getting satisfied. Even though that have engaged in the untoward activities, even after getting the money, how do they end up? Many of them lost their lives, I believe. Some of those that are living, some of their colleagues or some of their collaborators have died in the process or have got maimed. So are they happy that they lost their friends in the process of scooping or stealing oil? The answer should be no.
But what's the impact of this whole thing to our economy? How much are we losing to?
It has affected the economy negatively because there are so much leakages. In a situation whereby a country is losing, let's say, like you have mentioned, about 1 million...
60 billion being paid to repair the damages.
Repair the damages. That money ought to have been used to put in basic infrastructure, healthcare, education, security, water provision, and many social development efforts. And instead of that, the money are being used to given to foreign countries to come and rehabilitate those, and our money are being fried out. And daily in the country is becoming cash trapped.
So with that, are we positioned enough to respond to global energy market demand?
As it is today, the global energy demand is even reducing because the other countries, the major users of oil as a means of energy, Europe, Canada, and America, have started shifting emphasis towards the renewable energy, solar, wind, nuclear, and many other sources of energy, but thereby reducing the demand on the oil. So that should be an eye-opener to us that this oil that we are all having issues with among ourselves, we need to, as quick as possible, utilize the resource effectively to develop this nation so that by the time that it is left with us, we don't have anything to regret. And it's still where we can lean on. There are so many sectors that we can develop. ICT is now ruling the world. Most billionaires of the last 5 years are from the ICT. and now other sorts of technologies. Then, of course, agriculture, which is to feed the whole world and the nation and everybody. Nobody lives without eating. And all this need to be given emphasis, and we should develop them effectively. So with all this, yet, we should try as much as possible to develop the oil and gas reserve that we have and to be able to produce it within the maximum output that we could. As of now, we are not producing optimally.
All right. Recently, Minister of Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, said the government is losing revenue worth $800 per annum. Won't that in a way weaken foreign investors in coming to come and invest into our oil and gas sector?
Even before he made the statement, the foreign investors started withdrawing. In the last 3 years, or in the last 7 years, from 2014 to date, out of over 70 billion foreign direct investment that came to Africa,
that's
only
West African
not entire
Africa
entirely, about 70 billion, only 3 billion came to Nigeria. Ordinarily, more than 50 billion ought to have come to Nigeria, because Nigeria is the main economy of Africa, you understand. But because of uncertainty to guarantee return on investment, most investors were looking elsewhere to other countries that are even smaller in Nigeria, that do not have even adequate resources like Nigeria. So that's why I'm saying from the beginning that all of us need to collectively embrace peace and peaceful coexistence, and also to allow the government efforts towards building infrastructure in every sector to thrive so that everybody can benefit.
All right, let's look at the impact on onshore and offshore piracy, the increase in that dimension. How can that be tackled?
It is the same with what is happening onshore, offshore, whether anywhere, the same piracies, attacking oil vessels, attacking cargo vessels, attacking fishermen. They are all criminals. And they are all doing that only to build their own economy in an unlawful way. And many of them also lose their lives, because when they are faced with by the Nigerian Navy, many of them lost their lives because in an attempt to jump off from their canoes or from their ferries, they fell off and maybe they could not swim to survival. And many of them have carried guns, and exchange of fire, many of them lose their lives as well. Equally, our naval officers also lose their lives or get maimed through that. All this, we don't need it. Like I've said earlier, many countries have this oil, but they're living peacefully. Everybody is doing his job. He is finding his job in a lawful and legal way. We should try to educate our youth. We should try to educate everybody. And equally, we should try to educate our administrators. Whoever is assigned in a position, whatever resource is allocated to him, for him to implement, he should do it with the fear of God, sincerely, and for the benefit of all. Not only for him to divert it for his personal usage. We don't need that at this moment. Everybody should be happy, and everybody should be everybody's keeper.
Let's quickly get your closing thoughts on what the government can do to actually save the oil and gas infrastructure from all these damages. We know it cannot stop, but there's more that we can do.
The government has established so many efforts by establishing many joint task force of Army, Air Force, Navy, Police, DSS, Civil Defense, and even vigilante to overcome this challenge. It has not given maximum result as desired. Now, in addition to all the establishments that were made by the government to cushion the effects of the agitations of the people within the area, again now in the just past PIB, a host community fund is established, whereby 3% as passed by the House of Reps, or 3% as passed by the Senate, or 5% as passed by the House of Representatives, pending the harmonization of the two to whichever figure that will arrive at, is meant to cater for the immediate communities where all activities are taking place. That means for E&P, exploration and production. That fund is meant to provide basic infrastructure to ensure their safety and their livelihood that is improved to the highest standard that every life is desirable of having, and also to ensure that they in turn provide peaceful running of such facilities without getting attacked by any member of their communities or by any foreigner or by any stranger to come and inflict any injury to the facilities there or any damage.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Member. We thank you for coming on the program.
I appreciate it.
We do appreciate you so much, Honorable Musa Sarki Adar, Chairman, House Committee on Petroleum Upstream.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you for coming on the program.
You're welcome.
All right, let's join Bosede Abel now for developments in the capital market.
Hello and welcome to the market review segment. Nigeria's equity market advanced by 1.47% in the trading week ended Friday, July 2nd, as more investors gradually take position in value counters ahead of their half. Investors in the Nigerian equity market gained 292 billion during the week. The equities market capitalization closed the week at 19.92 trillion naira, a total of 1 billion shares worth 14.15 billion naira exchanged hands in the week across 17,565 deals. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 721.7 million shares valued at 5.9 billion naira in 8,709 deals. The consumer goods industry followed with 99 million shares worth 2.3 billion naira. The third place was occupied by the ICT industry. The top three traded equities for the week were Guaranty Trust Holding Company, Wema Bank and Zenith Bank. They mutually accounted for 213.8 million shares, with the exception of the NGX Oil and Gas Index and Growth Index. All other indices recorded positive growth in the review week, while ASM Index, NGX Afri Bank Value Index and NGX Sovereign Bond Index remained flat. Trading activities in the exchange-traded product markets declined during the week as the value of ETFs traded dipped to 930,262. The number of deals in the bonds market decreased from 44 recorded in the prior week to 26 deals at the end of the week. That's the market review segment. I am Bosede Abel.
That's the portfolio at this time. I am Comfort Amodu. Stay safe. COVID-19 is still out there.